Oioi, it's Mwene. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. This is the first ever episode of The Vegan Student, a podcast dedicated to helping you go vegan step by step so you can survive and then thrive. My name is Mwene, and I will be your host for today or forever. It's my podcast. I think it goes without saying that going vegan has by far been one of the best decisions and will continue to be one of the best decisions I've ever made. This podcast today and our first ever episode of The Vegan Student, I don't want to just convince you to go vegan, but I just want to plant a seed. Mind is made of so many different pathways, and I hope that today can be a pathway into introducing you to a lifestyle. For a long time, I was opposed to it, like many other people. I was ignorant to it also. I didn't really know much about it. It's been popular for the past couple decades. The vegan lifestyle isn't something that is completely new. I know as someone that is half Jamaican, I'm also half Zambian, that the ITAL diet has existed for a very, very long time. So veganism and vegans have been around for a very long time. But I've definitely noticed a huge difference in not only my well-being, my health, my overall energy since becoming vegan, and I hope to share that with you today. And of course, if you want to find me, I'm found on multiple platforms. I'm found on Instagram at Mwene Mandarin. That's Mwenemandarin. And I'm also found here on YouTube and TikTok at Maria Mwene. That's Mariamwene. And we can chat there. I definitely feel like I need to make an Instagram for this. I don't think it would be right to begin this podcast by not first introducing myself and a bit about myself and also why I became vegan in the first place. Not just to convince you to become vegan, but just a bit of why I'm doing this and why God has been placing this on my heart to do for the longest time and keeps pestering me, and He's not going to stop. He tells me every day to make this podcast. So here we are. I'm being obedient. This is an act of obedience, okay? I don't want to do this either. Even though I did my hair and makeup for this, it was a good excuse. Starting off with who I am, what I do, how I even came about your screen. I mean, you clicked on this video, so that means I like you already. Or you clicked on the link, or however you found me. So, who am I? My name is Maria Mwene. I am currently a chemistry student. I'm in my final year, studying at one of the top universities in the UK, and I'm specializing in sustainable chemistries. I'll be sharing with you all the nuggets and things I'm also learning as I progress in my course. And as well as that, I can mention that sustainable chemistry is my best module, currently pulling a first. God willing, I graduate with that also. So, yeah, I really enjoy sustainable chemistry. I'm an advocate for sustainability. In the past, I have competed for UK, internationally in India. I did that in 2022 with the title of Miss Environment United Kingdom. Didn't win. I know. You were rooting for me, I know. But I did come back with a continental title as Miss Environment Europe. So I carried that on and advocated for sustainability, particularly in the beauty industry, whilst I was reigning as a queen. So that's a bit about me and my passion for sustainability. I have always been super passionate about the environment. I even started my first business when I was 10 years old. I did a couple different things. I did the cupcake sales. Every entrepreneur has done the cupcake sale. But I started my first official business when I was 12 years old in secondary school, just starting out. There was an enterprise going on, and I started a business called Sweet Tooth, where I sold environmentally friendly packaged items from recycled card and made origami boxes and sold sweets inside of them for charity. And I did that with my friends. I actually employ my friends to work for me because business was booming. So yeah, that's a bit about me. And yeah, I'll be sharing more about my entrepreneurship and how that has entailed into my vegan lifestyle. But that's just a bit about me. And yeah, I love animals. Yeah, just thinking about the spider I killed yesterday. But it's I'm not perfect. But no, I seriously love animals and I love sustainability, and I look forward to sharing everything I'm learning and will continue to learn. That's always going to be a motto in this podcast, is that we're here to learn from each other, and I'm here to learn with you and tell you everything I know, give you the blueprint, because there's a lot of things I wish I knew before I went vegan that would have saved me a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of money, a lot of money. But we're here now. and I want to make your life as easy as possible. So if that sounds like something up your alley and you're looking to take on a vegan lifestyle or just become more plant based and you don't really know how to go about it and you don't want to break the bank, as you can see, the name is the vegan student. Students are broke. So this will be your guide to becoming vegan in the easiest, most sustainable, most effective way possible. Now let's get into it. My journey into veganism started 4 years ago now, and I transitioned into veganism after going on the Daniel fast. The Daniel fast consists of a 21-day fast. It's a Christian fast where you don't consume any dairy, any wheat products, any sugar. And I had done this because I had formed an addiction to sugar. And I highly recommend if you formed any addictions to fast. It takes a lot of mental resilience, but you're capable. If I can do it, you can do it. And if you want to look it up, it's called the Daniel fast. I did that for 21 days. And prior to that, for about 3 to 4 years, I had been very plant based. I would only really eat meat unless it was prepared for me. This is before I moved out. I must mention as well, I went vegan when I moved to university. So it was a lot easier because before I was cooking, well, I was eating rather, I was eating all the meals that my mom had prepared for me just out of convenience. But then as soon as I moved out, I was like, this is my opportunity to shine. I could finally just eat plant based. So it wasn't until I did the 21-day fast and I was like, yeah, there's no need for me to be cooking meat anymore. And I never actually bought any chicken or meat. Now that I think back, I didn't actually buy any meat or chicken that I cooked with. It was always just defrosted stuff. Yeah, I never wanted any blood on my hands. So that's how I kind of just stopped eating meat. And I've been consuming dairy for over a decade now because I made myself lactose intolerant. That is another thing I want to mention because when I was attempting a vegan diet or vegetarian diet, I had cut out milk, dairy products, and then I tried to consume them after 2 to 3 years and I became lactose intolerant. So you can make yourself lactose intolerant because you need the enzyme called lactase and an abundance of it in order to digest lactose. So you can make yourself lactose intolerant, which I did, and I can no longer consume dairy. So I've been dairy free for over 10 years because of that. But I wasn't vegan until 4 years ago. And that was because of the Daniel fast. The Daniel fast is where you stop consuming dairy, meat, wheat. What are the other things? A plethora of other. I should probably look this up. I'm looking it up right now. Daniel fast is a partial fast based on a story from the biblical book of Daniel. It's a strict vegan diet that prohibits animal products, leavened breads, processed foods, caffeine, and alcohol for 10 to 21 days. Folks follow the diet as an act of spiritual devotion. It is not intended as a weight loss diet. That is a source from Healthline. So that is the definition of what the Daniel fast actually is. That's exactly what I did. And after I did the fast, I stopped consuming meat. I think for me, that was just a perfect gateway into veganism because I was just on and off with it. Some days I'd consume meat and I was still consuming meals that my mom had prepared for me. This was in my first year of university. So I was just transitioning out of moving out of home. Those meals stayed in the freezer and I never cleaned out the freezer before I left that first apartment I lived in. So the, don't know where they are. Grateful and I'm really thankful that I did that fast. And I'm not sure how you're transitioning into veganism, but if you do need to do a fast, I definitely recommend the Daniel fast for those starting out. And the Daniel fast really gives you enough time to settle into it. It's not something that is like a juice cleanse that's super intense. It's really just an act of discipline. And that's really what you need, I think, when you're transitioning into a new diet, a new lifestyle. And the beautiful thing about discipline is it goes into so many different aspects of your life. Once you really clean up your diet, you get a lot more strict with not only the company you keep around you and the things that you consume, whether that be through media, food wise. It's just a whole cleanse. It's a spiritual cleanse. I mean, it's a spiritual fast, but yeah, if you ever want to try the Daniel fast, even if you're not Christian, I would recommend it. It really helped me so in so many ways and also helped me get rid of my addiction to sugar because I was eating chocolate bars and all sorts of crazy stuff for no reason, purely out of boredom. And it's not just sugar that the Daniel fast can help you cleanse from. It's so many other things that you may be addicted to that are stopping you from progressing, whether that be spiritually, whether that be, I don't know, what do you need help with? Do a fast. And I always tell myself now that if I can't control my mind, I can be controlled. The brain is very powerful. Really important that you grasp how powerful your mind is and you take control of it. It's very, very important. So that's how I transitioned into veganism. The reason I went vegan in the first place is because I just felt so guilty eating animals. I always just felt a sense of guilt every time I ate meat. And I couldn't really pin down what it was until I heard somebody else talk about it. I just felt bad, but I didn't know that bad feeling was guilt. So I would just always feel guilty if I ate meat or I consumed animal products. One thing I didn't feel bad about, though, that I will say is them barbecue spare ribs. Them barbecue spare ribs. Them barbecue spare ribs. Them barbecue spare ribs, y'all. Hey, that's one thing I didn't. Listen, this is a very honest podcast. I'm not here to lie to you. I want to keep it so straight with you. Like Mwene doesn't lie, okay? I'll be so honest. Like those barbecue spare ribs and some sweet potato fries with some sweet chili sauce. Don't even as a vegan. No, for real. But that was like my one weakness. That was the one thing. Oh, I'm bacon. Ooh, baby girl. Bacon? Oh, sorry. Let's just end the podcast here. No, I'm joking. But yeah, those were the few foods that were very hard for me to give up. I say very hard for me to give up, but once I did the Daniel fast, I was like, I can do anything now. And that's one thing I can definitely say. If you put yourself out of your comfort zone and survive, and you will survive. You always survive when you get out of your comfort zone. It's just the mental toughness that you have to build to get out. And once you do, you're like, like that's nothing. So it really wasn't that hard of a transition. It's all in the mind. It's all in the mind. Oh really? Okay, let me get back to the I feel like we're having too much of a good time right now. Okay. But seriously, for me, it was just trying to find alternatives to those foods so I could give them up and fully transition into veganism. And the reason why I went vegan, as I was saying, was because I felt guilty eating animals. I mean, other than the spare ribs and the barbecue spare rib, some filet, oh girl, some filet mignon, some medium rare filet mignon with some peppercorn sauce from the steakhouse. Oh, sorry. They knew me. Watched the infamous Cowspiracy documentaries. Every single animal slaughter documentary you could think of, I'd watched. So that had made me go vegan, well, vegetarian at the time prior. And I started consuming a lot of plant based products. But back, 5, 6 years ago, there wasn't as big of a variety in the UK. That's where I'm currently living now. As big of a variety of vegan vegetarian foods. So when I first went vegan, I was just told to consume beans, as you are usually told, a whole bunch of legumes that are not actual sources of protein, which we will get into, my darlings. We will. We will get into those. But I was told to consume legumes, beans, and I just found myself being very bloated. I wasn't enjoying the vegan lifestyle at all. I was looking at all these vegans online that had glowing skin, were eating every single exotic fruit I had never seen in my life, and they were living their best lives. I'm like, how can I go about this vegan diet? I don't have access to these foods. And this is exactly what this podcast is going to be about, is just telling you how to get access to those foods. And I will definitely be researching vegan producers and supermarkets for my US citizens as well, because that's 60% of my audience here. So I will be trying my best to find that. But if you need the food plug for all the vegan food in the UK, hey, just say Mwene and I got you. This episode is just us getting to know each other, okay? Don't take this episode too seriously, but I just want you to get to know why I went vegan. And the reason is because as I said, I felt guilty eating meat, and I'd watched a bunch of, animal slaughter documentaries, and it just never sat right with me. Why should an animal have to die for the sake of me eating? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I've even been asked in instances, if I was raised on a farm and I ate the animals and I knew they were taken care of, would I still consume meat? And the answer is no, because I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to have blood on my hands for the sake of a plate. It's not worth it. It's never been worth it in my eyes. So that's my answer to that. Another reason I went vegan is for the environment. As a vegan, you save. Let me get the stats. Let me get the stats. You save 15,400 liters of water just by consuming a vegan diet. That's right. That's right. As a vegan, you also produce less greenhouse gas emissions and lower your carbon footprint by up to 75%. That is incredible. And just to explain as well what your carbon footprint is an accumulation of all the carbon dioxide that you are producing, whether that be through, I wasn't going to say flatulence, cheeky, whether that be transportation, the food you're consuming as well. A lot of carbon emissions are produced when you're transporting food. Is also how you can collect high carbon emissions. Also, traveling collects a high amount of carbon emissions. So there's just so many ways. And if you are vegan, you reduce that by 75%. That's a lot of freaking carbon emissions. I said freaking. I don't curse on this podcast. And another reason as well, environmentally, why going vegan is such an amazing choice is because animal waste and fertilizers can also end up choking lakes of oxygen, poisoning fish, and degrading water supplies. I'm just reading from my notes here, but I just have so much more I have to share with you from my knowledge of sustainable chemistry. And it's really just such an amazing thing to go vegan, not only just for your health, but also for the planet. There's so many ways you can benefit from a vegan diet, even if you're not just thinking about yourself. The effect and the impact it has on the environment is so much more greater. And even though it's just you, it starts off as you and it can spread to so many others. I know since I became vegan, even my parents have implemented so much more plant based food. When I go back home and I open the fridge, there's a bunch of vegan food in there. And it's not just like your processed vegan burgers, which I'll get into because I absolutely hate vegan alternative meat sources. That some of them are just gross, but it's like proper stuff, like they have the veggies, the veggie burgers and stuff like that. So I'm super happy, and it's B Corp certified, which means that the sustainable practices have been verified. And it's really just amazing. It's just amazing to see that just from me going vegan, that I've been able to impact my family, my friends, even my friends now when they find vegan food and I meet new people or people I already knew and they know I'm vegan, they'll literally send me pictures of their food and their vegan products, and they're like, "Hey, Mwene, today I got a vegan milkshake." Like, thanks for sending this to me. I'm never gonna buy that, but thank you for sharing. It's really amazing the impact just you can have just by going vegan and how you can positively impact others to make more sustainable decisions. Of course, have to mention the difference in how I feel overall. How do I actually feel since I've gone vegan? Have I noticed a difference? I can firstly tell you when I first went vegan, I lost a stone. And it wasn't a stone of weight because, oh my gosh, she must be starving, she's malnourished. No, it was a stone of weight that I've been holding on from food addictions, from eating sugar to no end. It was weight that had come off from eating out of boredom. It was weight from consuming heavy meats, heavy oils that I used to prepare the meats I was eating. And I was still using your olive oils and everything else. And I'll get into all of the cooking and things that I'm now doing that have led to me having a more healthy body that is also less inflamed. Because that's another thing a lot of these highly processed foods that contain meat have. And of course, there are vegan foods that are also highly processed. I'm not hiding that. But overall, how I feel lighter. I have more energy. I get up every day and I smile. Even if I know I've got a busy day, I'm like, hey, it's a great day because I'm vegan. No, I'm joking. That's the first time I've ever said that. I'm joking. I just feel lighter. And it's really only something you have to experience for yourself. And even if you don't take on a vegan lifestyle for the rest of your life, I highly recommend, even if it's just a week, just try it. And I know some people do the vegan meatless Mondays, and I commend you. And I think that's amazing. But just give it a week. Give it a week. Give it 3 weeks, a month max. Just feel it out. And I highly recommend as well, just as a tip, we will get into transitioning into a vegan diet into our next episode and the must haves that you need. That will be the following episode after this. But I really, really recommend that you just give it a try. And if you are looking to transition into, I mean, you're watching this podcast and you're this deep in, so you must be here for something, right? And if you are thinking or considering a vegan diet, try one meal. Try and veganize. That is a word I made up. Yes. Try veganize one meal, whether that be your breakfast. I recommend you veganize your breakfast as the easiest meal to veganize, just because you have oats, and if you're gluten free, I recommend a tofu scramble. Tofu scramble be hitting. Add some little turmeric on there, black salt. Tastes like egg. I've never tried black salt, but I think I'll try it and get back to you. What I currently use for my tofu scramble is turmeric, paprika, cumin, Himalayan sea salt, black pepper, and that activates the vitamins in the tomatoes. Cooking with black pepper and tomatoes, just a heads up. as well as, ooh, and of course, I use my Zambian hot chili powder. I have to, put my culture in there somewhere. And it's some really great stuff. But of course, use what you can find in the supermarket. I'm sure it'll be amazing. And I use that combination, like a teaspoon of each, and mix it up with my tofu scramble and with 100 grams of tofu, like break it up, break it up, break it up. If I can find some clips, I'll put it in this video, but I don't think my Spotify or my audio listeners will be able to see it. But feel free to check this episode out on YouTube at Maria Mwene. And I just add that all together, some chopped up peppers and onions that I cook, saute them, add the tofu in, add the spices, put it on some sourdough bread. Friends, you can't go wrong. Pongyo, pongyo, pongyo. That means friends. I might be speaking Chinese in and out of these episodes as well because I speak Chinese. So sometimes there's a bit of language clashes. Anyway, Bob's your uncle. Bob is your uncle. I made a lot of different decisions in my life. Some good, some bad, some awful, some great. And one of the best decisions I've made is going vegan. I'm happier. I feel lighter. I have so much more energy. I'm just happier. Like I just want you to try it. I just want you to try it. And as I said, it doesn't have to be for the rest of your life. It doesn't have to be a lifelong commitment. This isn't a marriage. My goodness. I mean, even that doesn't last. I mean, let's not get into that. I'm all for marriage, by the way. I'm all for marriage. I'm not married, but I'm all for it. And I do recommend that you try out a vegan lifestyle. And I'll leave it on that point. If you want to feel lighter, if you want to feel happier, if you want to have more bursts of energy, and just not need a coffee every 2 hours, go vegan, my friends. Go vegan. All I have to share with you today as I'm looking through my notes, I just wanted to tell you my experience and how much happier and healthier. Also, I got my blood work done like about a month ago and it came back perfect as well. So for all the vegans saying, you're gonna be malnourished, you're not gonna get enough vitamins, you're gonna be deficient of this, you're gonna be deficient of that, you're gonna be deficient, like I've had my experiences of not watching my diet properly and having to go through deficiencies, and I'll be sharing all of that with you so you can avoid that also. But so far so good. So far so good. I'll leave you on that note, and I hope you enjoyed this first ever episode, getting to know me a little bit. Of course, I'll be revealing the rest of who I am and what I have to offer you as the podcast goes on. So by the end of this, or even now, you've already got the seed planted in your mind that you want to go vegan. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. I hope to have podcasts out twice a week. We will see how that goes. Thank you so much for listening to the Vegan Student episode 1. And on that note, it's safe to say we've had a great time today for our first ever episode of the Vegan Student. And don't forget, stay curious, stay compassionate, but most importantly, stay green. I'll see you next time. And of course, don't forget to share this episode with a friend or anybody you know that is trying to transition to go vegan. Have a blessed and beautiful day. Don't forget to show me your vegan finds at hashtag the vegan student on Instagram. Show me what you're eating. And remember, every small step towards a plant-based diet is a giant leap for your health and the planet. Maria Mwene signing out. Have a blessed and beautiful day. Zaijian means bye in Chinese. I'll be saying that every episode, so you better remember. All right. Have a great day. Bye.